Members, officials, good morning. It's now the appointed time and we have a quorum, so we can begin the meeting. Well, first of all, I'd like to tell about some of the work plans of our subcommittee, and based on members' views expressed at the first meeting and the work plan agreed between myself, the deputy chairman, and the administration, the Secretariat has prepared a list of items to be discussed, which has already been sent out to members on July 9th. And the document sets out the items to be considered by the subcommittee. The next meeting will be on October 9th at 8:30 in the morning. We are going to discuss the progress of industrial development and investment promotion. The Secretariat will issue the meeting notice in due course. We have one item to be discussed today, which is the overall planning, construction progress, and challenges of the Northern Metropolis. So our meeting will be until 10:30, so we can only extend the meeting by 15 minutes if necessary. On July 12th, in the capacity of the chairman of this subcommittee, so I received a submission from Ms. Chen Yutming from the Takuling District Rural Committee. So members can use this as a reference. First of all, I would like to now invite the administration to introduce a paper, and members can now press the button to indicate they wish to speak. Thank you. Chairman, members, as this is our first meeting, I would like to emphasize a few points. I'm sure you understand that Northern Metropolis is the new engine for our future development. This is something we continue to reiterate. The Northern Metropolis will not only take upon industrial development, it is also a very important platform for the deepening of cooperation between Hong Kong and the GBA. We are going to provide adequate housing and other government facilities to enhance the standard of living of the general public. We will also enhance urban and rural integration. Therefore, this is actually a very important blueprint. There is also alignment with the National 15th Five-Year Plan, as the 15th Five-Year Plan looks into the further development of the Northern Metropolis. We can now see that the NM is divided into 4 major zones, which is professional services and logistics, hub, innovation and technology, boundary commerce and industry zone, and also tourism and conservation circle. We hope to make this into a 1+1 exceeding 2 result. Therefore, the administration will, in accordance with the positioning of the Northern Metropolis, to ensure that our plan will be implemented. And with the needs of with the economy, we are also going to make adjustments in the future. At this time, setting up this subcommittee will allow us to report to members on the progress of the Northern Metropolis. In future meetings, we are going to focus on different main points. As this is the first meeting, we will first share with members the planning and construction progress and challenges of the Northern Metropolis. So this will set the foundation for our future discussion. I'd now like to invite Ms. Linda So, Director of the NM Coordination Office, to share with us the paper. Thank you, Secretary. Good morning, members. I would like to take you briefly through the latest progress and challenges of the Northern Metropolis. The Northern Metropolis is quite large, with about over 30,000 hectares, and there are about 3,000 hectares which could be developed. But this is a very large area, therefore we must take it by phases. Therefore, we have divided the NM into 9 development areas, and I'm going to take you through each NDA. There are 9 new development areas, and we have started our construction process. You can take a look at the map. There are now 4 NDAs that have begun construction. So you can see the areas here, including Hongshui-Kyu, Santin, Hetao, and Kutong North. We have entered the construction stage, which consists of about 800 hectares. And as of today, there are already 15,000 residential units completed and 30,000 square meters of economic floor space available and completed. The first NDA I would like to share with you is Kutong North and Fanling North. This is actually the earliest NDA to enter the construction stage. This is mainly a residential area. The first batch of public housing and a number of private housing developments will welcome the first intake of residents later this year. Various infrastructure and community facilities have been completed progressively, including the Kutong North Multi-Welfare Services Complex and the Fanling Bypass. We commissioned the Fanling Bypass earlier this year, and the footbridge at the Longyang Town Interchange has also been completed. Next year, the Kutong Station will commence service. We will construct a joint user complex and a joint user general office building with the support of the LegCo. After we apply for funding, we are going to build a government building to relocate some of the government offices, and a joint user general office building will also provide community facilities. The Kutong North is quite large, and therefore we're going to establish a larger and multi-purpose core exhibition gallery. We already have set up some local galleries on Hongshui-Kyu and Kutong North, but we are going to build a more focused exhibition gallery in Kutong North, with the first phase targeted for commissioning in 2027. We'll also look into amending the OCP for the Fanling North LSLD pilot area this year, with a view to enhance the financial viability of the pilot area. Another NDA under construction progress is Hongshui-Kyu and Hachun. The first batch of public housing development was completed in phases and has commenced population intake since 2024. The HSK station on the Tuen Ma line is expected to complete in 2030. We focus on industrial development in this area. I'm sure you've seen that July 3rd, we closed the tender on the pilot area under LSLD in HSK, and work on tender assessment has commenced with a view to awarding the tender by end August this year. And we've also established the HSK Industry Park Company Limited, and we plan to invite the industry to also submit expressions of interest in respect of the first site in the logistics cluster this year. And towards the bottom of Hong Shui Kiu, we have reserved part of the land for the Northern Metropolis University Town area. The third NDA is Yuen Long South. That will be primarily for housing. We will also reserve land for industrial or logistics use. The site formation and engineering infrastructure works commenced in 2022, with the first batch of population intake expected in 2029 to 2030. Next is Santin Technopole. Of course, this would mainly be focused on industrial development. The site formation and engineering infrastructure works for Phase 1 Stage 1 has already commenced. The first batch of about 20 hectares of new INT sites will be delivered progressively starting from end 2026. The first phase of works have already commenced, but there's also Stage 2 in Phase 1, and this year, in 2026 to 27, we plan to seek funding approval from the LegCo for the site formation and works for Stage 2 development. That will also include the construction funding for the San Shui Po Park. The He Tao Hong Kong Park officially opened in December of last year. The first 3 buildings, including a talent accommodation building and 2 wet laboratory buildings, have been completed, and they have all been leased out. It is expected that another 5 buildings under construction will be completed by the end of this year. We will gradually roll out other sites of land, and we have invited tender, which will see a deadline by August of this year. Members may be concerned with the bridge project at the west. This has already commenced. We believe that we'll be able to commence the Cross River Bridge project by next year. And lastly, on Sandy Ridge, as you all know, in March of this year, we have already approved construction, and this has commenced since March. Other than NDAs under construction, there are also other NDAs in different planning stages. And you'll be able to see this on the map. These are the purple areas, which are NDAs under planning. I'll also briefly take you through these NDAs. The first one is Ngau Tam Mei NDA. That will mainly be the Northern Metropolis University Town. So that would be the blue area. There will also be a hospital and also an integrated hospital, which is in the vicinity of the NMUT area. We announced the recommended outline development plan in October of last year, and statutory procedures for the environmental impact assessment and town planning have been completed, which means that we can start construction very soon. We plan to seek funding approval from the LegCo in 2026 to 2027 with a view to commencing the works in early 2027. It is targeted to produce spade-ready sites from 2028 progressively. The first batch of population intake is expected to take place in 2033.
Ling. Another NDA is Lavoshan NDA. For this one, we will focus on building on a digital and technological hub. We will also develop ecological reserve. We have already commenced public engagement in 2024 and received EOI in 2025. At this moment, we are formulating the RODP. After all that, by Q4 this year, we will try to kickstart the statutory procedures. By 2027, we will start land acquisition exercise, and in 2028 to 29, we will begin site formation and engineering infrastructure works. New Territories North New Chang is another new development area. Among the 9, this is the largest land parcel. The whole area is up to 1,400 hectares, and among them, 1,100 of them can be used for development. If you remember, over the whole NM, we have a total of 3,000 hectares, and in this NDA alone, we already have 1,100 hectares, so it is a rather large NDA. Because of its size, it has to be developed area by area. We will give priority to the middle zone, which is called a priority development area. We have around 200 hectares here. By 2025, we have begun the public engagement process. Targeting the priority development area, we will continue to deepen our works there. After that, we would be able to put together a outline development plan. Within this year, we will make request for funding from LegCo for a detailed plan. At this moment, we plan to commence rezoning exercise in 2027. In 2028 to 29, we can begin site formation and engineering infrastructure works. Metro Long development is another area. We have started a public engagement in 2025. We are still consolidating and analyzing the comments, and we will announce the results in due course. For Ngau Tau NDA, it is actually the most recent NDA. It has been announced in the policy address in 2029, which is the 9th NDA in NM. We have already engaged MTRC to conduct the relevant land use review because the area is nearby a MTR station. Hopefully, the result will be announced this year. On this page, you will find a summary of our progress so far. Please focus on the columns in the middle. Previously, we have resumed quite a number of pieces of land, and quite some land formation work have been done. In the coming 5 years, we will be going in full steam. In the coming 5 years, we trust that there will be 900 hectares of spade-ready land, 7 million of housing units. So in long run, we will have 1,800 hectares of land being formed and 240,000 housing units being completed. It will be multiplied very quickly. As introduced, you are aware of the progress of the 9 NDA. At this stage, we are actually fully commencing construction works and introducing enterprises to join NM. We are trying our best to speed up the construction works while attracting enterprises to come in. To this end, our greatest need are as follows. First, there has to be some facilitations with targets so that we can fulfill the needs of the market and the enterprises. For instance, the Northern Metropolis Development Bill was just gazetted and completed with first and second reading. Hope that there will be even more flexibility offered to the industries. There also has to be some executive measures to speed up the vetting. Because of that, we have commenced the work of Northern Metropolis Project Supervision Office. We also have to draw market forces with diversified approach so that both the government and the market efforts can join hands in speeding up the development of NM. Therefore, we will continue to adopt a diversified development model, including in situ land exchange, LSLD, and the establishment of park companies, in order to introduce even more market force into this project. We will try our best to relax our regulations. For example, a lot of land use in a zoning plan is rather flexible. Like the enterprises and industry parks, we did not focus or limit on a single industry. We will also allow the land to be used for exhibition and conferences purpose. Before tendering, we will conduct more market survey so that our direction can fit the needs of the enterprises. Finally, land resumption. The amount is rather substantial. Looking into the future, we believe that there will still be a lot of land resumption going on. Simply put, we endeavor to adopt a people-oriented approach in order to communicate with those who are affected. We will continue to put more effort as we resume more land in the future. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you. We are receiving a lot of information, and the coverage is really broad. I trust that members would have a lot of questions. At this moment, 13 members has intended to speak. Let me read the names first. Ken Wong, Luther Lam, Christine Fong, Lau Ka Kung, Tam Chen Kwok, Dennis Leung, Yu Ming, Deputy Chair, Hong Kam In, Grace Chan, Thomas So, Aaron Bok, and Maggie Chan, and I will be the last to speak. So 13 members at this moment. Because of time, 4 minutes question and answers included. Mr. Ken Wong. Thank you, Chairman. The NM is a core strategic platform for Hong Kong to integrate into the overall development of our motherland, and we are being supported by the 15th Five-Year Plan. I know that there are 4 major functional zones and 9 NDA, which include housing, INT, cross-border infrastructure, and the university town. Both members and the general public are highly focusing in the development of NM. I have a number of questions. Now, NM is being divided into 4 functional zones and 9 NDA, including high-end logistics, INT, blue and green, recreational, ecological development. We are also developing the Northern Link of the Hong Kong-Shenzhen Western Rail Link, as well as the land use for university town. So, among the division of the 4 industries zone, how can you prevent overlapping and competition? We have a number of cross-border railway, including the Northern Link as well as the Hong Kong-Shenzhen Western Rail Link. What would be the estimated expenditure, and how are you going to finance for it? I also want to ask about the university town. At this moment, are you making any progress in the matching with local universities? What will be the plan for internships for the young people in this area? There are 3 questions. Allow me to respond to the division among the industrial zone, and I would defer the questions regarding the communications between the government and universities to the director, because the LGB has already put together a timetable, so it will also be covered. we have a number of major zones. First of all, in Hongshui-Q, we have a number of industrial land use. It is a kind of a diversified area. We can have logistics, advanced manufacturing, smart manufacturing, etc. Another piece of land is in STT and Hetao. The positioning is rather clear. They are focusing on I and T. They will focus on different stages of I and T, including the most upstream, that is R&D. We will also have a lot of trials and testing, as well as the most downstream, that is manufacturing. Basically, STT and Hetao will focus on technology. For Hongshui-Q Industrial Park will be more diverse. Allow me to supplement as we talk about advanced manufacturing. It will always involve I&T since it is advanced. Therefore, we cannot rule out the possibility that some I&T enterprises will also go to Hongshui-Q Industrial Park. ITIB will be focusing on STT and Hetao. Therefore, the two bureaus are in communications. We will exchange information and introduce enterprises to appropriate locations. For the university town, that is our tertiary education, it is also one of our industries, one of the strengths of Hong Kong. The distribution of universities within the university town has already been openly explained. Later on, the Education Bureau will roll out a development blueprint focusing on the emphasis of different universities within the town. Also, the questions regarding transportation. Well, for the Hong Kong-Shenzhen Western Rail Link, in 2025, we have already completed the investigation with the Logistics and Transportation Bureau. We are now in the process of receiving tendering. We estimate that by 2027, that is next year, we can complete it receiving tendering. By 2034, works can be completed. Members have also mentioned about the Northern Link. It will be developed in two phases. For the first phase, it has been commenced in 2025. So construction work is already in progress. There is also a second phase of construction work. It will be commenced shortly. Our target is to develop both the main and spur line of Northern Link by 2034. Next, Mr. Law Lam. Thank you, Chairman. I have two questions. First of all, as Director So has highlighted, a lot of land resumption will be involved in NM. And it will involve a lot of brown land that are currently using for logistics and warehouse purposes. So how can we care for the needs? I appreciate how the administration continue to follow up in this regard. I hope that you will flexibly arrange manpower in order to speed up the resettlement matters. The sectors are also concerned about the resettlement. There are a lot of warehouse sites that are involved in the STT land resumption project. They expressed that it will be difficult for them to be resettled. Would you strengthen the support to these sectors so that the operators can be helped? Projects are developed in different time periods. Some have to develop for a longer period of time, which allow the operators to keep using the line until the land is being used for constructions. we appreciate such flexibility because many operators have expressed that the land has been resumed without resettling them. How about after resuming the land, you can lease it to them and to arrange for resuming the land until it's time to commence work? Early this year, you have established a monitoring office for NM in order to speed up the vetting of private development of NM, including the Lands Department as well as the Development Bureau. KPI has also been set. Large-scale projects are often complex. It might require interdepartmental coordination. I believe that such a monitoring office can help reduce cost and ensure progress. Well, since its establishment till now, how many cases have you intervened? Thank you.
個方向嘅提問。
Two questions. Thank you. Well, the first question is on how we look into how we handle the brownfield sites. If they are affected, the operators on those sites would be able to receive compensation, but very often the operators are not the owners of the land. They are solely operators, and under these circumstances, as they only lease the land, and there is no guarantee that they can operate there in the long term, the government is providing ex gratia allowance in discretion. Other than this ex gratia allowance, we also assist brownfield site operators to relocate. Sometimes they would look for sites themselves and move to other areas in the new territories. The government will also offer short-term leases for them to tender. At the Development Bureau, we actually have a project office that is designated into supporting these brownfield site operators. Once we reclaim the land, it will belong to the government, but construction may not begin immediately. Currently, we still allow the operators to continue using the land for a short while. We hope that could help them. We also have a project management office. This was only established a few months ago. This office does not focus on brownfield sites. Instead, it focuses on residential sites to ensure that all the departments can approve plans and projects expeditiously. When it takes too long, then this project management office will need to interfere to see why it is taking longer than usual. A meeting will be held every 3 months, and they will go through what plans they have received, and currently they are handling about 20 cases. Thank you. Ms. Christine Fong. Thank you, Chairman. I'm very happy that in 2026 we can still look into so many land sites being developed. There are now many large land sites in STT and in He for decades, we have not seen such a large-scale development. And director and the bureau will really need to work on how we can enhance the development. For sites that are in the blue and green recreation, tourism and conservation circle, comprising Robin's Nest, Double Haven, Shuttlecock, we are not talking about large development. What plans do you have for this zone? I'm sure the chairman is also very concerned with this area as well. Members of the general public do not quite understand this zone. We know that this will be the new engine for Hong Kong's development, so I hope that we would all know more about it. I'm also very concerned with transport. I heard just now that in 2027 you'll be able to start a tender on the rail and that it will be commissioned after 2030. This is very important because Tianhai has already completed its planning, but we have still not yet begun. Can we speed it up? I also have a question on the medical school. I'd like to know more about the progress of the new medical school under UST. Hong Kong U will also be moving part of its campus into the NM University Town area. I want to know more about this progress. We are developing many new sites. In He Tao, some of the main roads are still only single ways. So would you actually open up the roads to make it into 2 lanes instead of just 1 lane? And how are you going to look into the planning and the sewage of these new areas? Well, there are 3 main questions. Conservation, transportation, etc. Thank you, Chairman. Let me first address the question on the medical school, and then I will defer the other questions to my colleagues. And for the drainage issue, I can also defer to the CEDD. Chairman, members, if you do not mind, maybe the transportation could actually be discussed at a later stage when we focus the discussion on that area. We have already earmarked part of the land in Ngau Tam Mei. UST knows clearly about our construction pipeline, and we hope that after site formation we'll be able to hand the site over to UST for development. HKUST can now work on building plans before the site formation is completed. And they've also started the recruitment of student recruitment. And the blue and green recreation conservation circle, as a member said, there are valuable resources and we are very focused on its development. The Robin's Nest is very popular since it has become part of a country park. We want to plan more comprehensively this cultural heritage. A consultancy study will be conducted this year to see how the development can be aligned with conservation. Thank you, Ms. Fong, for your question. Last year, we have completed 1.3 kilometers in the road towards the west, and there is a new bridge that links up to the loop in Lok Ma Chau. And there's also a road completed that links Santin to the area. And there's a new road, 2.5 kilometers in length, which is actually a two-way road. We have conducted the environmental impact assessment, and in the second half of this year, we will approach the LegCo for funding approval. The He Tao area is a bit higher in level than other areas. There will not be any flooding issues. And we have ensured that the drainage services are adequate to prevent flooding. Well, I see that members are very concerned with the transportation. We're going to hold a meeting solely focusing on transportation later on. Next, Mr. Lau Ka-keung. Thank you, Chairman. The Northern Metropolis is an important new engine for Hong Kong's future development. I have a couple of questions. In Para 9, it is mentioned that in the next 5 years, there will be around 70,000 housing units to be completed and ready for intake. And the public housing has already been completed. The Kwu Tung station will be commissioned in 2029. I want to ask about the intake for the 70,000 housing units. How can you ensure the progress and that transportation could be aligned with the new population? We see that by 2023, a new road leading to Santin will be commissioned, and the Hong Kong-Shenzhen Western Rail Link would also be commissioned in a few years. How can you alleviate the burden on the traffic before then? We want to attract more industries or enterprises to move in the Northern Metropolis. We see quite an ideal development since the commissioning last year. I'm happy to see such outstanding performance in the Northern Metropolis. Can you share more with us on this new development and then how you can attract more enterprises to move in? Secretary, I really do not have any supplementary information on transportation at the moment. I think the turning point will be at 2030 when the railway is commissioned. In the first 5 years, the NDAs will provide about 70,000 completed housing units. I currently do not have information or further breakdown for these 70,000 units, but I can provide this information after the meeting. other than attracting enterprises to move into the Hertao area, recently we have also set up an HSK Industrial Park office in charge of its own work in attracting enterprises. The government is also making a huge effort in attracting enterprises. New areas include Laofao Shan and also New Territories North. Enterprises may be interested in moving there. Since we are working on planning, we can actually work with them to see what could be put on offer. I know you are very concerned with one area, that is communication. We do have the Office for Attracting Strategic Enterprises and Invest Hong Kong working together with our bureau to support enterprises. Thank you.
Next, Mr. Tan Chen Kwok. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Secretary, as well as Director So. Since our last meeting, it has been 3 months, and I am aware that much progress have been made since then. My major concerns is to introduce market forces in order to speed up the development of NM. In Hongshui Q, we have received 2 tenders in total. As the first pilot spot in NM, I think this is quite important as a showcase. I want to know what will be the timetable of tendering in the land parcels in Shantin as well as Fanling North. Are there any lessons learned so that we can optimize our terms and conditions as well as the financing model? Are we going to improve anything or we will just adopt the existing model? Second, I want to ask about the blue-green recreation and ecological circle. I understand that you will start surveying very soon, and there will also be some framework setting up regarding the planning of it. Would there be a timetable like Shuttlecock, or would there also be survey in those areas as well? 2 questions, Secretary. Regarding the survey concerning the blue-green recreation zone, I will defer it to the Director. You also asked about the land parcels development model. As you have mentioned, we have already secured 3 land parcels. After Hongshui Q, well, at this moment, we are evaluating the submissions we received. We also have Fanling North as well as Shantin Technopole. Judging from the situation right now, we believe that the next land parcel will be Fanling North. Because basically we have resumed all land resumption there. Under this model, we have to outsource the government land to the enterprises for development. For the Shantin Technopole, since we haven't finished land resumption, we believe that it will be in our next step. There are some basic elements that will remain unchanged in LSLD. So what is meant by LSLD? First of all, there will be different zoning, residential, industrial, as well as government facilities. We will be outsourcing the whole piece of land parcel as a whole. This element will be maintained. The government also emphasized on quality. Therefore, the 2-envelope model will also be maintained. For the details arrangement, we have to see the submissions that we received from Hongshui Q before we can reconsider. As for the blue-green recreational circle, I would like to defer to Director. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Our consultation will cover the whole blue and green conservation circle, including Mars Bay, Shuttlecock, as well as Double Haven. As for a timetable, at this moment, by the end of this year, we'll commence the works. The estimate completion really depends on the model and result of our research. We will be looking at the deployment of space as well as the projects that are easier to roll out, just like quick wind. So it really depends on the results that we will receive after the survey. Members who concerns about tourism and conservation circle, maybe you can pay attention to the subcommittee that focus on the overall development of tourism and conservation. Next, Mr. Dennis Ling. The NM has already been upgraded to a major engine of Hong Kong development. It has also been incorporated in the National 15th Five-Year Plan. I hope that the general public in Hong Kong will yield our full support in its development. I have a number of suggestions. Since this project involves a lot of land resumption, I hope that the land department will consider to assign one liaison officer for each household in order to resolve land resumption projects. Us as legislator can perform as superconnector in order to remove the barriers and to resume the land as soon as possible. I am aware that a lot of projects can only be completed till 2030 or 2034. Most importantly is to attract talents, especially young talents. I am aware of the education facilities. I am looking at the primary and secondary schools as well as kindergarten and nurseries. Can we speed up in putting together such facilities? In Kowloon and New Territories, there are some old schools. Can we facilitate the moving of such schools into NM? Well, because if we are able to do that, we will not have any delays after the intake of residents. Railway development are rather slow. If we are delegating all these to MTRC in terms of manpower and financing, I believe that it is rather delayed. From my experience in Kwai Chung district, we have been discussing about the Central Link for 10 years, and we have to wait for another 10 years before it is completed. Would it be possible for us to encourage other property developer to join forces as JV so that they can also participate? How about introducing some Chinese mainland enterprises to come to Hong Kong so that we can build up the transportation network as soon as possible? And that is how we can build up the development of NM in order to yield fruits. Looking at the existing economic situation, a lot of SMEs and investors lack confidence. How can we boost their confidence to develop in NM? It will be one of our major concerns. Across all these areas, I hope that the development in NM will be able to fulfill the needs better. Through the subcommittee or on other platforms, perhaps we have to communicate even more so that we can move forward with the project. One comment on land resumptions and a number of questions regarding schools, transportations, etc. Thank you very much for your comments. For land resumption, are we able to assign a liaison officer for each affected household? Actually, this is the basic direction that we are adopting. As we are resuming land in NM, or when we have to resettle the residents there, we already have some district community service team. can we deepen our communication so that it will be more comprehensive? From our experience, we continued to strengthen our efforts because we really treasure our cooperation with the district councillors as well as other community members. We will continue to improve in this area. In Annam, we have planned a lot of government infrastructure and community facilities. In terms of zoning, for each development area, we have assigned land for government facilities. However, specifically, is it delicate for recreation, education, or healthcare? It concerns some detailed planning. In our existing mechanism, we will wait until we commence site formation before we can come to a conclusion on the detailed planning, that is, what exactly is the land use of that particular piece of land. We have to seek support or comments from different bureaus. Let's say you asked about schools, right? We have to communicate with the Education Bureau. If they believe that there is such need, then we will start deployment. You have mentioned a very pragmatic suggestions. How can we make good use of this opportunity so that some rather worn and used school campuses can be relocated in Annam? This comment is well taken. We will continue to discuss with the Education Bureau. The Transport and Logistic Bureau is already adopting a diverse approach. We are not just only relying on MTMC, like the Hong Kong-Shenzhen Western Rail Link, as well as a green smart corridor in Hongshui-Qiu, will be receiving tenders. It's not limited to MTRC. Members also asked about attraction for SMEs. Anything to add? For SMEs, in each NDA, there will be certain areas reserved for commercial use, but there is not a lot. We have reserved a lot of land for industrial use. At this moment, we want to attract some key enterprises to join NM. After that, we hope that such enterprises can also bring business opportunities to SMEs. For instance, there are a lot of brownfield operators in NM. When there is more advanced logistic industry going into NM, we hope that they can support the existing rather low-end logistic operators, most of them SME, to upgrade. Thank you, Secretary. Next, Deputy Chair Yu Ming. Thank you, Chairman. How can we build NM into NM of happiness is a great challenge because we hope that it can become a showcase for the international community. I believe that we need a clearer planning so that the general public will find it a transparent development. I hope that you can offer us more progress report in forms of a bar chart so that people can find such information on your website. By visually looking at those charts, we will be aware of the progress at different stages. It will be easier for us as legislators to monitor your progress as well. Second, I am really glad to see that the NM office as well as the FECD are taking the initiative to move into the government buildings in NM. It is actually alleviating the uneven distribution of government functions in Hong Kong. We have to cater for different needs in the day-to-day living of the residents. In the new Huanggang boundary port, a lot of land use on Hong Kong side can be rezoned and planned because we are releasing a lot of land use that used to be assigned for customs. And how can we develop a boundary control point economy? Can we increase the number of commercial buildings there so that it will be more convenient for Chinese mainland tourists to come to Hong Kong? We hope that it will look more urban and cosmopolitan and not so rural. I believe that it is also important. In Ngau Tan Mei NDA, when we look at the location of the hospital, we discover that it is rather far away from the station. Can it be moved closer to the MTR station? It will be more accessible to the patients. In the process of the construction, we will consider to include more accessible pathways, including covered corridor. Will it be considered? Because it will be easier for the patients to visit. As I look at the plan for Ngau Tan Mei Station, it is rather close to the express railway of a Hong Kong Shenzhen or Western Rail Link. We reserve some possibility to build another express railway station in Hong Kong here. Many major cities have more than just one express railway. Now the West Kowloon station is serving the urban area. If we have another express railway station in Ngau Tan Mei, then it will be serving Northern Metropolis residents. It will be easier for them to get in touch in this major development under the 15th five-year plan. It is a showcase of the importance of this strategic position. Number 4, the integration of urban and rural area. I hope that we can build up more cultural plaza, including Hachin, Santin. These are all rural areas because regularly they will have a lot of very local festivals, which are some large-scale celebration. The prepare of such plazas can support the development.
Secretary, Chairman, the XRL is quite a huge topic. I would leave it to our next discussion. Let me first talk about the Ngau Tan Mei new development. Why we have planned the hospital to be in the current location. There are some factors in our consideration. We understand that we need to do a bit more because I agree that in the past few years we have worked mainly on planning and construction. We do need to let the public know more about our development. We need to put more information online. The coordination office will do a bit more later. When we begin co-location at the new Hong Kong port, on the Hong Kong side, we have already planned a few years back that the new land released will belong to Santin Technopole. Once the Hong Kong port begins operations, we'll be able to release the land for future technical development. We'll just need to do a bit of site formation before its first use. You asked whether we can set up some cultural plazas for rural and urban harmonization. With the NDAs, we'll be able to provide cultural plaza facilities for festivities. I'm sure you will see more of these elements when we bring up the new development plans. CEDD. Thank you, Chairman. The Northern Link near Ngau Tam Mei Station is close to a depot station. The integrated hospital will need to evade this area. We have designed 2 pedestrian footways or footpaths that are covered for pedestrian use. There would also be a transport hub, so it will be easy for the public to take public transportation to other nearby hospitals. Thank you. All 7 members have spoken. There are still 8 members in line to ask questions. We have used up half the time. I hope that members can be concise in the questions to leave more time for the administration to address those questions. Mr. Hong Kem In, thank you. Well, there is a lot of planning in progress. As Secretary, in my eyes, you are most important because you are working on the development on the Northern Metropolis. I would like to thank the chairman for organizing the first meeting today to let us discuss this topic. In the paper, from para 11 to para 27, there is a lot of detail on NDAs. And the NDA is named after the local name. It's only in para 25 that you use New Territories North as its name instead of the local name. But when you're talking about NTN, New Territories North, I don't think that you should use this name. You should rename it, because which part of New Territories are you referring to with such a name? We can consider using Taku Lang as its name instead of just NTN. I hope you would think about it. And in page 15 of your PPT, if you don't mind pulling it up again, it actually involves land and future site formation. Currently, only 120 hectares have its site formation completed. To achieve 900 hectares to become spade-ready sites, you will need to speed things up. Does the Bureau have any ways in speeding this up from 120 to 900 and then to 1,800 hectares in a few years? We're talking about 1 decade. I'm worried about the NM development being not ideal with such a long development time. Why is it taking so long? I know you need to resume land before site formation. On 2025 to 2026, you're talking about 120 hectares. There are still 400 hectares that cannot be formed. What is the reason behind this delay? We need to find the reasons for that. Otherwise, site formations will be further delayed and you will not have these areas ready in a few years. I'm just concerned about this timeline. I hope the Secretary can address my concerns. Secretary, thank you. The naming of NTN New Town would most likely be renamed, because if we continue to use New Territories North, no one will know where we're referring to. Ling District Rural Committee suggested that we call it Ling NDA. Well, this is something we would consider, but I believe that 99% chance there we would rename the NTN. We showed this timeline for the next 5 years. And then in 10 years, we hope that the land-formed area would be 1,200 hectares. We hope we'll be able to achieve this through removing all barriers. Recently, we came up with the Northern Metropolis Development Bill. This might help us remove obstacles and speed things up. Other than the bill, we still hope that we'll be able to achieve 900 hectares in 5 years. There would be times when we will need to come up to the LegCo for funding approval, and many occasions that we would need to invite tender and find partnership with the public. We have resumed 500 hectares of land, yet land formed is only about 120 hectares. You ask why this is the case. Indeed, after land resumption, it just means that we have taken back the right of use of the land. Even if land ownership is returned to the government, we do not ask those living in squatter huts to leave the premises immediately. And we do need time for land resumption. We have given you some examples that this year in Santin Technopole or in Altame, we would begin site formation. The first batch for site formation would take about 2 years, because we're not just talking about solely formation on the site. We still need to complete drainage improvements as well. Next, Ms. Grace Chen. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Secretary. The PowerPoint is very clear. My questions might be some sort of planning in advance. I really want to talk about user participation. There are organizations that have reflected to me that a government will only introduce user tests or user participation after a site is completed. The planning, construction, and approval of Northern Metropolis is something that users really want to play a role in. I hope that for accessible standards, you would actually invite user participation and to seek users' comments and views. This is something we can discuss further. I would like to thank the administration. Your emphasis on a people-oriented approach. I do hope that you would invite user participation for comments and opinions. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Chan, for your suggestion. When we work on construction such as construction on covered walkways, on accessible paths, and other topics like the ones we discussed in the council early on green design, I can say that these are guidelines. We are now in the construction progress, and when we start to design, then we would need to implement guidelines which would need user participation, and we would liaise and communicate with the electrical as needed.
Do you have anything to add, Ms. Grace Chen? No, thank you. Next, Mr. Thomas Cho. Thomas So. Thank you, Chairman. Really appreciate the administration efforts in preparing this PPT presentation. In a very comprehensive manner, you have introduced the development of the 9 NDAs in Northern Metropolis. This project is of utmost importance, as members have shared. To Hong Kong, to Chinese mainland, it is a very important project. That's why we are all concerned about it. I have 2 questions and suggestions. I am aware that in the PPT presentation, you have mentioned about the 9 NDA. If you include Ngao Tao, that will be 10. 4 of them are already in progress. The remaining 5, I trust that works will commence in phases. Each land parcels are targeted at different industries, and different engineering infrastructure would be required. Some required railways, some required other infrastructures. For instance, if there needs to be laboratories or startups, they will have different needs as well. They're also given different priorities. This is a very useful page. It explained the progress and estimates. It is rather general because you're only talking about Northern Metropolis. I think you're only focusing on the first 4 NDAs, correct? Because the remaining 5 is not starting yet. I would like to make one suggestion here. As you're aware, Secretary, I am preparing a forum to promote NM, and I have done a lot of research. Many people are not aware of the development of NM. I'm not sure if it is possible. Well, you have mentioned 9 NDAs. In the future, are we able to disclose the progress of these NDAs? I understand that there are different industrial focus and industrial parks there. From the perspective of a legislator, I think it will be helpful for you to disclose the progress. Well, because if you just say NM, people won't know which NDA are you focusing on. Second, the financial arrangements. Sometimes electrical, we would receive a ask for funding, and very often the appropriation will be of a large amount. We have received a number of such requests already. My impression is, well, are you able to give us a 5-year or 10 years projection? How much land will you be providing? How many residential units will you be offering us? And how many residents will be moving in? Also, how much economic floor area and how many enterprises are already coming in? These are all some very helpful statistic. It will be at best for you to prepare such data area by area and to provide us with some 5-year or 10 years financial projection. Well, at least we will be able to know how much we are still going to invest. This is my suggestion. I'm not sure if it is feasible. That's all from me. Please be brief, Secretary, about the progress and financial estimates. Your first suggestion is, well, surely this table is a summary of different NDA. It is very clear, including the total land that has been formed already and what is the total residential units. For example, in the future 5 years, the 900 hectares of site formation, where exactly are they locating in NM? Surely we have such statistics. Perhaps we can prepare the details so that the council and the general public can be more aware of that. Members also asked about the 70,000 of residential units and where are they? And of course, we will have the distribution. We can provide you with that. You also asked more in-depth questions. After site formation, how many, upon the completion of work, how many enterprises will be going in, how many residents will be moving in? These will be the future details that we can continue to enrich. As for financial arrangements, we do have some difficulties at the moment. It will be difficult for us to give you a one summative figures because we already have a number of NDA that are still in the process of planning and construction design. Since it is still in progress, we will not be able to give you a finalized numbers. I understand your intention because you want to be aware in advance. However, we don't want to draw any misunderstandings. Well, even if I say that it is just a rough number, the general public would consider it as final. Any future changes would cause unnecessary conflicts. Previously, when we asked for funding to develop hundreds of hectares, generally what will be the amount required for site formation? You will be able to do some rough estimates. Well, including compensation and land resumption, I think the total amount that we have asked for from LegCo is around 200 billion Hong Kong dollars. In the future, as we are doing our LSLD, we will be introducing enterprises to complete site formation. Then we might be saving some cost. There are still a lot of dynamic adjustment going on. Surely we will be transparent and open about the statistics available every time we have completed each area. In January 2027, there will be a designated time to discuss about the financial arrangements. By then, members from FSTB will be joining us. Next, Mr. Aaron Borg. Disclaimers. I am a director of a one-man consultancy. I am also the director of another consulting companies. I am also a non-executive director of 2 other construction companies. The construction of NM is very important. It is also highlighted in the 15th five-year plan. I trust that we have to join all of our efforts into seeing it completed. I have 2 questions. The industry park company has already in operation. We are introducing some high value added and smart construction as well as advanced production enterprises to join the park. What is the progress and plan of such works? I hope that there will be a more balanced development and to cater more for the construction sector, because if we are only looking at the land use as well as the total turnover, the construction sectors will always lose in the competition because we will be taking up a lot of land use, but we are actually supporting 290 billion Hong Kong dollars of industrial turnover in Hong Kong. I see that you haven't discussed much about transportation network. I am aware of the recommendations of highways and railway, and most of them are cross-boundary or connecting from the west to the east. How about the north and south connection, including highway number 11? Including the connection connecting Lam Tay to Tai Lam, as well as the area of Ching Lung Tau. I hope that you will be in closer connection with the Transport and Logistic Bureau in this regard, because if we are just regarding on the highway number 3 or Chinkau, it will not be sufficient. I am aware that members are concerned about this. By next March, there will be a designated section focusing on that. Secretary. Regarding the Hong Shui-Kiu Industry Park companies, they are in charge of the 23 hectares of land. As mentioned, the enterprises that join this industry park can be rather diverse, including the advanced machinery of the construction sector, also testing and accreditation, advanced food manufacturing, advanced logistics and warehouse facilities. Recently, the Hong Shui-Kiu Industrial Park Company had their first board meeting. During the meeting, they are aware that there are already some enterprises showing their interest in joining the industry park. The park company will also deepen their conversation with these enterprises. We find such results encouraging because there are already enterprises showing interest and they fall within the categories that I just mentioned. We have a total of 23 hectares of industry park land. Among them, 8 hectares are already spade ready. Our conversation with the enterprises are focusing on the 8 hectares of spade-ready land. The remaining 15 hectares will be able to complete it by next year, and it will be turned over to the park company. That's all from me, Chairman. Thank you. Next, Ms. Maggie Chen. Thank you, Chairman. My question focuses on professional services. In the overall planning of NM, we have to leverage the unique strengths of Hong Kong. At the same time, we have to match with Chinese mainland, especially Shenzhen. I want to focus on paragraph 4 of the document. There you have mentioned about the high-end professional services in Hong Shui-Kiu. Please be aware that Hong Shui-Kiu is very close to Qianhai. Within 15 minutes, through the Hong Kong-Shenzhen Western Rail link, they will be able to reach each other. How can we leverage each of our strengths? If you are going to attract professional services, what kind of professional services are you going to attract and how are you going to do that? In the document, you mentioned about the economic floor area that you will offer. Well, but if you look at Qianhai, it is already very mature. The cost is even lower there. You can't just call yourself as a professional services area in order to attract them, because if I am to move, I would rather move to Qianhai. How can we leverage our unique strength in order to be complementary of each other with Shenzhen? I think our strength is professional services plus INT plus university town. This is something that Qianhai doesn't have. We also have favorable policies. That is the common law system in Hong Kong SAR. So there has to be some leaders in professional services. So which can be the leaders in the professional services? Under the 15th Five-Year Plan, Hong Kong has to deepen our position as an international arbitration and dispute resolution, as well as legal hub. I suggest that in Hongshui NDA as well as Hetao, because we have a life science, low altitude economy, and other frontline development. On top of Hetao, the two areas should join together to build a Hetao International Arbitration Hub. That is how you can line up all the professional services. Because arbitration doesn't concern just legal issues. We do need a lot of other experts to that end as well. That's why I suggest to build up an international arbitration hub here. In the overall plan, how would you consider this suggestion? Because under the 15th five-year plan, we are an international legal services and dispute resolution center. That's all from me. One more. In paragraph 9, it mentioned about 70,000 plus residential units available here. What would be the distribution between public and private housing? Thank you.
深圳嘅協作。
All right, Secretary. Chairman, in relation to our cooperation with Shenzhen, we do have a task force working with Shenzhen. We hold regular meetings to communicate the progress of the NM development on a frequent basis. Hong Kong as a hub, we're not only talking about Northern Metropolis, we're talking about the whole of Hong Kong. In how to attract legal experts to locate to NM to become a legal hub, there are two main paths. One, industry parks need centralized services. We often say that such centralized services could include legal services, exhibition and sales services, testing services, and that would be up to the deployment of the industry parks. And in the NMNDAs, we have also earmarked areas for commercial development. As to how to attract legal experts to move into the area, that's a more detailed arrangement, and it would be up to the market development. We are very clear that Hong Kong as a whole wants to become a legal hub. We do want to attract our legal friends to move into NM and of course to Hong Kong as a whole. In the next 5 years, some 70,000 housing units will be completed, the majority of them being public housing. Completed housing units in the next 5 years are those that are under construction at the moment. You may remember that a few years back there was a shortage of public housing. Therefore, in the first two phases of NM development, which is Kutong North and Hong Shui Kiu, we focus mainly on providing public housing units. And these would be the units ready for intake in the next 5 years. In the second 5-year period, many private housing units will be completed. I'm sorry, Chairman. I'll just like to follow up. The Secretary may not know that the mainland arbitration organizations need to go global, and He is actually a very good window for going global, and that is actually part of the national strategy. Well, we will discuss it at our next meeting on IP and legal issues, and the DOJ will also be represented at that meeting. Next, Mr. Augustine Wong. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to first declare interest that my company also is involved in NM development. In the next 5 to 10 years, there will be many housing units to be completed in the Northern Metropolis. The sector is a bit worried that in the first 5 years, out of the 70,000 housing units to be completed, well, according to the figures from the Housing Authority and Housing Society, that there will only be a short supply of private housing units. However, in the second 5-year period, there will be another 170,000 housing units to be completed. Have you planned the ratio between public-private housing? We don't want to be too inclined towards public housing because then there would be a shortage of supply of private housing. Secretary, we say that 70,000 housing units would be provided in the next 5 years, and in the second 5-year period, there will be another 170,000 housing units to be completed. These are units to be built on residential sites. We have not yet included sites belonging to private property developers. These figures are actually public housing units to be provided on government sites. We have not yet calculated the number of private housing units. In the first 5 years, the 70,000 housing units will mainly be public housing, due to historical reasons. But after 10 years, there will be like 240,000. And then there will be 30% private housing units. In the second 5-year period, the 170,000 housing units, out of those, about 80,000 would be private housing units. We hope to see a large number of private housing units in the next 5 years, in the second 5 years. Ms. Julia Lau. Well, members asked about renaming the Ling station. In a few public consultations, Zhou Tao Chun villagers suggested that a station near their vicinity should be called Zhou Tao Station. I'm not sure whether the administration would take that into consideration. Secondly, in terms of balancing development and conservation, I would like to know that with such rapid development, are there any sites that need to be assessed? Ngao Tao Mei will become the university town. There used to be tiles with KTC engraved on it, and That's the old railway company. And these might actually be graded we can actually keep some of these because these also tell good stories of Hong Kong. I really hope that the next generation will know about this history. That when we were building the Kowloon Railway long ago, then those areas were used to provide accommodation for the builders. We should ensure a good balance. Recently in Shanghai and Beijing, many libraries and exhibition galleries and education facilities have been taken out from cultural heritages. And we want to achieve a balance between the development and the conservation of our rich cultural heritage. Many cities would actually preserve this heritage. It seems the mainland really knows how to adopt culture to reflect their heritage, but it seems that Hong Kong is still lacking behind. I hope that you could take this into consideration in the development. Secretary, renaming and cultural issues. Thank you, Chairman. The station names of the Northern Link Spur Line, when we talk about those stations, we do call one of them Zhao Tao Station. But during the but we will only confirm the name when we really commission the spur line. But now, currently, when we introduce these stations, we still call it Zhao Tao Station. We must ensure we consider the cultural aspects in our development. Before work begins, we would assess the buildings. When there is a need to assess the building, then we would do that for conservation purposes. For graded buildings, we try to preserve them or try to have them integrate into rural and urban facilities. However, if there is no other way of conserving it, we would try our best to conserve the software. Providing cultural and educational facilities in the Northern Metropolis, my understanding is that it must be sort of a landmark facility. We hear views that people nowadays, when they appreciate culture, they do not really need to enter a cultural building. It can actually be a building with cultural aspects, and this has already been relaxed in our planning and design. The government has also reserved sites for community facilities. we do have our own planning that perhaps some sites might be more suitable to be schools, but there is still room for adjustment. We would leave this to the relevant government departments to see what would be best suited at a later stage. Mr. Chong Ho Fong. Well, it's not called Zhao Tao Station. It should be called Ao Tao Station at the Northern Link Spur line. But the Rural Committee said that it's actually not part of Ao Tao. It's actually near another location. Perhaps you could discuss this with the TLB on what would be the most suitable name. We are discussing the overall development of the Northern Metropolis today. The Secretary has provided us with figures, and I welcome these details. I would like to talk about some issues raised by the public. Well, there used to be many logistics centers and warehouses in Hong Shui-Kiu. As we had to develop that area, we invited them to relocate to Santin, and now we want to develop Santin, we invite them to move elsewhere. Actually, there's a lot of work to be done, and it might take about 10 million to apply for licenses and to relocate. People might not be willing to invest when they do not know for sure whether they could stay there for a long period of time. There used to be a synergy, but nowadays operators find it difficult to load and unload their goods, and it seems that the warehouses or the logistics centers are scattered around the area instead of having the previous synergy. Would you help these operators? And the second question is on LSLD. Well, tender was invited at the first half of the year, and by the deadline in July, we have already received some tenders. Residents near Mai really welcome that, because with commercial development, they would be able to find jobs in the same area. Property developers may invest first in residential units because the profit and return will be faster. Do you actually have a priority as to what private property developers will need to work on first?
Regarding the names of stations, I know that there is much for us to learn. I will be in discussion with the Logistics and Transport Bureau. As for brownfield, it is indeed tricky. We did offer help. Well, but to be realistic, we don't believe that our support would be enough to attract the brownfield operator to stay at different locations in NM and continue to operate in the existing model, because the existing brownfield operation needs to be upgraded. The future industrial development of Hong Kong doesn't match with the existing operation model. The offer of help that we're giving now is like a buffer, so that the operators would have time to plan for their upgrading and upskilling. As for the coordination, we will promote even more, because in the past we have already supported a number of cases. Taking Hong Shui-Kiu as an example of LSLD, the terms and conditions of the tender has specified the use of a different industry. That is actually a requirement on timetable. Until certain years, they have to produce a certain number of square meters for industrial floor use. After developing a residential unit, there would still be industrial land use because they are very explicitly spelled out in the tender. 2 members are still waiting to speak, Michelle Tang and myself. We still have 10 minutes till 10:30. Any objection if I extend the meeting for 10 minutes? If not, then I will draw the line after Michelle Tang speaks. Thank you, Chairman. The Northern Metropolis is a key engine of future development of Hong Kong, and it is also a strategic plan for Hong Kong to better integrate into the overall national development plan. I appreciate the effort of different bureaus and departments, as well as the support from the Chinese Mainland Department. I appreciate the progress. However, there are still a number of issues that deserve our attention. For example, the logistic bottleneck of life sciences, especially the transportation of biological samples. The vetting process is complicated and lengthy, which really hamper the efficiency of scientific R&D. Since we are trying to develop life and healthcare science, I would like to ask about the progress and effectiveness of the pilot scheme in Hetao. I know that the HHB are also putting effort in this area. When are we going to produce the white list or the list for green corridor in order to break this barrier? This is my question. Thank you. Secretary. Chairman, well, regarding the cross-boundary transportation of biological samples, it really depends on the ordinance for Northern Metropolis development. In the ordinance, we will mention that according to the need of different industries, the government can roll out different sub-legislation in order to facilitate the flow of biological samples. I really look forward to your support. Before the legislation at Hetao, there will be some small-scale pilot scheme. So without legal support, how can we achieve that? If the chairman allowed, maybe at the next section, we will have the ITIB's representative at our next meeting to explain to you regarding the details of these pilot sites. Thank you very much. So I'm the last one to speak. On behalf of this subcommittee, I would like to extend our appreciation to Secretary and your team. I can really feel how enthusiastic the government is. I know that a lot of effort has been put into developing this project. I understand that this project is very dynamic, and we are aware of the many things that are happening. By establishing this subcommittee, apart from rewards, I hope that the administration can also listen to the comments that members have. Today, members have asked about education, infrastructure, transportation, etc. In the future, we will have some more focused meeting, inviting members of different government departments to join us. I would like to extend a token of thanks for that. I have a comment. As Ms. Maggie Chan has rightfully mentioned, I remember during the scrutinization of the 15th five-year plan during the 2 sections, when we discussed the 5-year plan of Hong Kong shall not be just focused on Hong Kong alone. We have to consider the whole region as a whole and to better contribute to the national overall development. Therefore, the development of NM concerns the collaboration between Hong Kong and Shenzhen. There is already a task force focusing on the G2G connection. As we discussed about the 15th five-year plan, apart from government planning, the industries are also responsible to understand the development of different sectors in the neighboring area. NM is very important because we are industry-led. So how can Hong Kong collaborate with the industries in Shenzhen so that there will be even more collaboration? I wonder if the government can be the matchmaker or a facilitator in this regard. Well, I focus on cultural and sports. But now we are talking about the sports industry and the cultural industry. I am really eager to be in touch with the cultural industries in Shenzhen to see if there will be an impact of 1 + 1 more than 2. In terms of the mechanism, in terms of the development of NM, I wonder if the government would take the lead so that we can contribute together in the GBA. That is exactly what Ms. Maggie Chan has mentioned. In the legal sector, there are room for the legal sector to develop with different focus. I believe this is the responsibility of the society as a whole. Ms. Julia Lau are also concerned about the development. Well, because we want to develop NM as an area that is good for living, travel, and for work. Well, it is highly functional. We are all aware of the enterprises coming into it. How can we create it as a beautiful community so that people will be eager to live there and to travel there? I believe that culture is a very important element. I have been in discussion with Ms. Julia Lau. Across different major cities of the world, there will be a percentage of art. The government would set aside a certain amount of budget to beautify or even to procure public arts. So in the future, we know that NM will be highly functional. We will be very strong in INT development. But how can we create it as a culturally immersive area as well? I trust that there is much room for us to develop. These are my comments. Look forward to join force with you in developing NM. Concerning the development of cultural elements in NM, I trust that there can be more in-depth discussion in the future. Chairman, you have mentioned about the communication between enterprises or between industries, both from Hong Kong and from Chinese mainland. That is aside from the G2G connections. I trust that this is very important. Thank you for mentioning it. It requires the promotion of different bureaux. Taking Development Bureau as an example, the industry that are closely related to us is the construction sector. For ITIB, they are closely related to the INT sector, education, the education sector. Different bureaus have to discuss with their own stakeholders so that they can match with the respective industry in Chinese mainland. This is something that we have to put extra effort into. Thank you for stressing it. We also look forward to seeing fruits upon our communications. If there are some renowned enterprises from Chinese mainland coming into NM, it will be instrumental in upgrading NM, and it will be also useful for them to go global. Some works are already in progress. We will wait until industrial development meeting to share more details. One more word. In Hong Kong, we have a lot of members that serve as the party member in Guangdong and many different regions in Chinese mainland. They are fully aware of the situation of Chinese mainland. Perhaps we can leverage their strengths so that they can become our spokesperson in telling the Hong Kong story well. It can double the effects of our efforts. Thank you. That's all for today. And all members have already asked the questions. Thank you for the presence of the administration. Next, any other business? Be it no other business, meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Thank you, members.